The year was 1928. New York City was a bustling metropolis, full of life and energy. But beneath its vibrant surface, a dark and sinister story was about to unfold. A palpable sense of dread filled the air in the New York City Police Department. Officers moved with a sense of urgency, their faces etched with concern. A letter, as gruesome as it was shocking, had landed on Captain John King's desk. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before. It spoke of unspeakable acts, of a man named Albert Fish and a little girl named Grace Budd. The details were chilling, the handwriting almost taunting. This letter, a confession of unimaginable cruelty, would open the door to a nightmare. It was a window into the mind of a true monster. Fish's words dripped with chilling nonchalance as he described his horrific crimes. He wrote with a calm detachment that made the content even more disturbing. He wrote of his compulsion to inflict pain, to consume human flesh. His desires were dark, twisted, and utterly horrifying. The details were so horrific, so monstrous, that many initially dismissed them as the ramblings of a madman. It was hard to believe that such evil could exist. But Captain King, a veteran of countless investigations, recognized the chilling ring of truth in Fish's words. He knew this was no mere fantasy. This was no mere fantasy. It was a confession from a heart of darkness. The letter was a testament to the depths of human depravity. The letter was a roadmap to a chamber of horrors. It detailed locations and acts that were beyond comprehension. It led investigators to the dilapidated building where Fish had committed his final unspeakable act. The scene was one of utter desolation. There, amidst the squalor and decay, they found further proof of his crimes. The evidence was irrefutable and deeply disturbing. The hunt was over, but the true horror of Albert Fish was only just beginning to unfold. The city would never be the same again. A name whispered in hushed tones, a figure lurking in the darkest corners of the city's underbelly. Albert Fish, the Brooklyn vampire, became synonymous with pure evil. His crimes, a grotesque tapestry of abduction, cannibalism, and murder, sent shockwaves through the nation. Fish's reputation preceded him, a chilling aura of dread that clung to him like a shroud. Parents warned their children about the boogeyman, but in Brooklyn, the boogeyman had a name: Albert Fish. He was a monster in human form, preying on the innocent, his appetite for cruelty as insatiable as it was depraved. The newspapers lapped up the story, each gruesome detail adding to Fish's growing infamy. He became a macabre celebrity, his name whispered in horrified fascination. The more the public learned about Fish's crimes, the more they feared him. But beneath the surface of their fear lay a burning question. What could drive a man to such depths of depravity? On a sunny June afternoon in 1928, 10-year-old Grace Budd vanished without a trace. One minute she was playing with her brother outside their tenement building, the next she was gone, swallowed whole by the city's unforgiving streets. Her disappearance sparked a frantic search, her parents' desperate pleas for her safe return echoing through the concrete canyons of Manhattan. Days turned into weeks, hope fading with each passing hour. The police, initially optimistic, grew increasingly concerned. Grace seemed to have vanished into thin air, leaving behind no clues, no witnesses, only a void of unanswered questions. The city held its breath, united in its fear and uncertainty. The Budd family, their lives shattered, clung to the slimmest thread of hope. Little did they know, their search for Grace would lead them down a path more horrifying than they could have ever imagined. Their daughter had become another victim of the monster known as Albert Fish. Albert Fish was a master manipulator, a wolf in sheep's clothing. He used his unassuming appearance to gain the trust of unsuspecting families, preying on their vulnerabilities with chilling precision. He would often pose as a kindly old man, offering sweets, small jobs, or even just a listening ear. Fish understood the language of poverty, of desperation. He knew how to exploit the cracks in society, to identify those most vulnerable to his insidious charm. He would spin tales of hardship, of a loving family in need, all the while his true intentions remained hidden beneath a veneer of normalcy. His methods were as calculated as they were effective. He would gain the trust of the parents, often befriending them over a period of weeks or even months. Once he had wormed his way into their lives, he would set his sights on his true target, their innocent children. Section 5. The Depths of Depravity. Fish's confessions revealed a mind consumed by darkness, a bottomless pit of depravity that defied comprehension. He described his crimes in graphic detail, his words devoid of remorse, replaced by a perverse sense of pride and twisted justification. He spoke of his fascination with pain, his need to inflict suffering on others. Cannibalism, he claimed, was a religious experience, a way to commune with a higher power. He described the taste of human flesh, the rituals he performed, all with a chilling matter-of-factness that sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened investigators. His crimes went far beyond the pale of human understanding. He subjected his victims to unimaginable horrors, his actions fueled by a sadistic desire to inflict pain and exert control. He documented his crimes in meticulous detail, his journals becoming a testament to the depths of human depravity. Section 6. Scars of a Tortured Soul. Fish's monstrous acts didn't arise in a vacuum. His childhood was a breeding ground for darkness, a toxic cocktail of abuse, neglect, and mental illness. Orphaned at a young age, he was shuffled between institutions, each one seemingly more brutal than the last. He was subjected to regular beatings, psychological torture, and sexual abuse. These early experiences left an indelible mark on his psyche, warping his perception of the world and twisting his desires. He developed a fascination with pain, both inflicting it and enduring it. He began to self-harm, pushing the boundaries of his own pain threshold. His descent into madness was gradual, a slow burn fueled by trauma and neglect. He began to experience hallucinations, his grasp on reality slipping further with each passing day. The seeds of his monstrous future were sown in the fertile ground of his tortured childhood. Section 7. Justice in the Shadow of Horror. The trial of Albert Fish was a media spectacle, a public reckoning with a monster who had haunted their nightmares. The courtroom was packed with reporters, curious onlookers, and families desperate for justice. Fish, his eyes vacant, seemed unfazed by the gravity of the charges against him. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence: Fish's chilling confession, the gruesome discoveries at his apartment, and the testimonies of those who had barely escaped his clutches. The defense, faced with an insurmountable task, attempted to plead insanity, painting Fish as a victim of his own tortured mind. The jury, however, was unconvinced. After deliberating for just a few hours, they returned with a verdict: guilty on all counts. A collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom, but for the families of Fish's victims, true justice remained elusive. The scars of his crimes ran too deep, the pain too profound to ever truly heal. Section 8. The electric chair awaits. On January 16, 1936, Albert Fish, the Brooklyn vampire, met his end in the cold, sterile confines of Sing Sing Prison's execution chamber. The air was thick with anticipation, and the walls seemed to echo the silent prayers of those who had come to witness the end of a monster. He walked to the electric chair with an eerie calm, his demeanor almost serene in the face of his impending doom. Each step he took resonated with a chilling finality, as if he was marching to a destiny he had long accepted. Some say he welcomed death, seeing it as a release from the torment of his own twisted desires. To him, the electric chair was not a punishment but a gateway to an unknown freedom. As the executioner prepared the chair, a hush fell over the room. The tension was palpable, every eye fixed on the man who had caused so much pain and suffering. Witnesses described a faint smile playing on Fish's lips as the leather straps were fastened around his wrists and ankles. It was as if he found some perverse comfort in the ritual of his own execution. He seemed almost eager to embrace his fate, his eyes fixed on the ceiling, as if searching for something beyond the realm of the living. Perhaps he believed that death would bring him the peace that had eluded him in life. The warden gave the signal, and with a surge of electricity, the life of Albert Fish came to an end. The room was filled with the hum of the electric current, a sound that marked the conclusion of a dark chapter in history. The monster who had terrorized a city, who had embodied the darkest impulses of humanity, was no more. The city could finally breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that one of its most feared predators had been vanquished. Section 9. A Haunting Legacy. The specter of Albert Fish continues to haunt the American psyche, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. His story is not just one of horror, but also of the hidden dangers that can exist in our communities. His crimes, etched in the annals of true crime history, serve as a cautionary tale, a warning about the fragility of innocence and the monsters that walk among us. The details of his heinous acts are a stark reminder of the evil that can exist in the world. His name is whispered in hushed tones, his story passed down through generations, a chilling reminder that evil can wear many faces. The fear he instilled continues to resonate, a testament to the lasting impact of his actions. He became a macabre legend, a boogeyman parents used to scare their children, his name synonymous with unspeakable acts of cruelty. The tales of his deeds have become part of the folklore, a dark chapter in the story of human nature. But beyond the horror, Fish's story also highlights the importance of understanding the root causes of evil, the complex interplay of mental illness, trauma, and societal neglect that can shape a monster. It urges us to look deeper into the factors that contribute to such darkness. His legacy, though steeped in darkness, serves as a stark reminder of the need for compassion, for understanding, and for protecting the most vulnerable among us. It calls for a collective effort to ensure that such tragedies are not repeated.